Stick some cans on then, DT, because we're welcoming everyone back to Yorkshire Vikings against the Birmingham Bears, Part 2. Yorkshire needing 181 to win. Jamie Rayner, myself, Jonathan Doidge, James Powell, the Yorkshire and Diamonds president, and now David Townsend joining us as well. Cast of thousands this evening. We'll have DT on just for a little while to remember the old boy and what he's got to say for himself. And what have you got to say for yourself about our first innings?
You always save the best for last, don't you? Yeah, I thought the Vikings pulled it back well. Actually, I thought at one stage you were looking at a score, 195, 200, somewhere in that region. And Don Best bowled well, didn't he?
He did. Second game in succession. Adam Lythe's going to take strike. David Milan out there with him.
It's a lot of runs, though, isn't it? 180.
It is, but these days it's not a crushing look when you look at the board, I don't think, compared to some. For example, trying to chase 212 at Chesterfield just the other day. Short ball first up. Chris Wokes opening the bowling from the Howard stand end. And that is pushed out into the offside by Lythe. And there is no run.
Nicely timed. That didn't quite get his place. Otherwise, that's away for 4. The old practice wickets over there. It's like ice. Ball goes across there. There's no stopping it.
Slip in place. There's a deep backward square leg and a third man who's wide-ish. Wokes in. It's flicked off the hip by Lythe. And round there to do the fielding is Chris Benjamin. Pick up 1 run, so they're getting going here. The feature of that first half, Rob Yates' 66 run out of the final ball. Wokes right arm over. Milan gets a thickish outside edge on this, down to third. And at third man it's Henry Brooks who does the fielding. No, it's not. The front foot across towards off stump and then whip the ball off his legs, and that's gone all the way out of the park for 6.
Yeah, lovely shot. Picks it up cleanly. Fielder down there has to take him on.
Really pleased to have Dizzy on board. Short ball here. That's a tremendous blow by Adam Lythe. And he's starting to get going now. You can't. Here he is again, Maxwell. And well played. David Milan just opened up the body and cut that away. Just over the top of both keeper and slip. And those who are watching the replay tell you what, he's probably about 2 foot out of the grass. But the players who've come out and played proper cricket shots are the ones who've scored the runs at Headingley.
Literally all I could push through the offside, through the covers, 4 runs. That wouldn't look out of place in a county championship game. Brilliant from Lythe. And glorious to watch as well. 24 to his name. Changing the field. Slip comes out in towards short mid-wicket.
So Wokes comes in and bowls then. Lythe just plays it to the man who's down to our left in the shadow of this pavilion itself. As Wokes is in, beautiful shot, 4 more. Adam Lythe just stood, opened the face, and he's placed that superbly between 2 players in the ring on the offside. Punches gloves with Shan Masood, who has faced 3 deliveries without scoring yet, so we're kind of getting more of the same from Shan. He put his hand up, didn't he, in that interview and said, I'm not happy with how I'm playing. 34 his highest score so far. And you just wonder what role he can play in this side the way he has been playing. You've got to start asking questions about whether or not he's being used in the right role to get him through the 20 overs to best possible effect. As this is pushed back up the pitch by Lythe, straight to Chris Wokes, no run.
I mean, does he take the role on as being the glue, the one that stays there, and that frees up Lythe and Milan and those around him to not have the pressure on him to necessarily hit quickly and hit successfully, but just stick around and be that glue?
You've got to score at a certain rate in all positions these days. You can't just have somebody who's gluing it at 1 a ball anymore. As Lythe is in, and that's flicked around the corner, and or in front of square I should say, there's no run. End of the power play. At this stage, 50 for 1 was the Birmingham score. Yorkshire, they're not so far off. They've lost 2 wickets, but they're 45 on the board. They got 8 from that over, those 2 fours by Adam Lythe. But yeah, you look at the strike rates of the lads who are playing the game and getting in regularly and getting regular runs, and they're all kind of north of 140 really. So even if you're the glue, you're sort of scoring at that rate. And then you know, beyond that if you're ticking along a bit more quickly.
Yeah, just looking at Masood's strike rates in international T20 cricket, which he's played 19 games, 121. T20 cricket, which he's played 156 games, 125. So the modern T20 cricketer, yeah, I take your point absolutely, Dorji. As Jake Lintop comes into the attack for the Birmingham Bears. His left arm over leg break, and that one's a loosener that just gives Masood the opportunity to get off strike, hit on the full, pulled away towards deep mid wicket for a single.
Yeah, but again, you know, he's a quality player and he knows he could have put that anywhere on the park, and I think his body language after he struck it said exactly that. He's missed an opportunity really by just pushing the one.
Yeah. But it brings the better of the two batters in current form on strike. Adam Lyth there on 28, the Vikings 46 for 2. Spreadfield now outside the power play overs, and that one's just driven down towards Long On, who's in place for another single. Long Off also there, deep mid wicket, deep backward square leg, and there's a sweeper on the cover boundary for Masood also.
Totally uninterrupted by weather, all the home fixtures on this ground this year.
As that one is driven but not well timed, and Masood finds the fielder at short extra cover.
Can't remember that.
No, that's a very good point. It was just the second 6 of this innings. Make that another one. Thompson's gone for it again, and it's the same result, another 6. Back-to-back maximum.
Hey, when you hit a 6 to the longest boundary on the ground, you didn't
Put the required rate down by the whole run because of those 2 lofty blows. Tattersall on strike, prize of LB, and he's given. Umpire's given it. That is Tattersall's innings over. Mosley's got the wicket of Tattersall. LBW.
He missed that one. It wasn't going over the top.
Been sent back, no run. And a third man, cow corner, and then 2 men out straight, one of whom's going to come into play here, Long On, as that's a full length delivery, punched down that way.
1, 3, 4 for 5.
Yeah, stepped into it nicely, didn't he? In the ground really well. Matthew Revitt gives it the full face of the play. We've seen it throughout his time. Mosley, by the way, as they miss, Joe Chauhan misses this one. I think they're premeditated, wouldn't it, if they managed to do it? 157 for 8. You're not seeing it happening though, are you, really?
Yeah, let's be honest.
But you're not.
No,
you're
not.
From what we've seen so far, you're not. And he can strike a good ball, can David Wiese, but he's not getting contact with it at the moment, and he's got just 2 runs against his name. Brooks to Wiese. Well, this one has connected, but he might not have the legs to get over the boundary. He's gone very, very steeply. It had 3 deliveries, 3 more full tosses like that. Simple.
Just puts the pressure.
Took the bat under the arm. Yeah, that, as DT's saying, the 8 runs that they missed, if you like, from getting a 10 off the Wokes over, invaluable as far as the Bears are concerned. 18 needed off 3. Brooks in. No. Wiese's got hold of it. I'm not sure if this has got the legs, has it? Yes, it has. 6 over deep backward square leg. Well, they've still got a chance, but they...
Surely not. Surely not. Well, it is the long boundary, and he's just about clearing it on both occasions. Well, the pressure is now on Henry Brooks, because whilst 12 from 2 is still quite a task for Wiese, it just puts that seed of doubt now in the mind of Henry Brooks, who is joined by keeper and captain Davis. Chris Wokes there as well, experienced bowler. Well,
169 for 8. Well, they've made a better fist of it tonight, but it's still against them, isn't it? 2 more 6s needed. We've seen 2 in succession. Henry Brooks, what'll be going through his mind at this moment? Comes into bowl to Wiese, could win it with this delivery. It's a wide. Oh, the pressure's on the bowler here all of a sudden, but it's not really, is it? The pressure's on the batter.
But that is the game situation, isn't it? Despite the fact that the numbers are in the Bears' favour, the game situation and the pressure is with the bowler, hence why that wide has been bowled. He's so scared of offering up that straight line because of how well Wiese, even though it's the long boundary, has cleared it. Now 11 from 2, a 6 and a 4 is a tie.
Brooks then from the Kirkstone lane end to Wiese, sits deep in the crease and misses, and that's a wide Yorker. He's gone across that way just outside off stump. It's not been adjudicated as a wide. Wiese can't believe it. He's looking around to say, come on, what's going on there? But that's that, done. There you go. Told you it wasn't going to happen. 11 needed off one ball.
I've not seen a replay of that yet, but it looked tight.
And Wiese gets underneath this final ball of the lot, and that is also going to clear the boundary for 6. But Yorkshire are going to lose this match. They're going to finish on 176 and finish 4 runs short of the Birmingham Bears total. Well, a late rally and a great effort from Wiese in that final over. He finishes on 20. But as he strikes it, you can tell his body language is saying, how could he not give a wide for the ball before?
He's just taken all of his frustration about that previous non-wide out on that delivery, in why that hadn't been given. And actually looking at the replay, that is a wide. That has swung away.
Towards the quarterfinals, and congratulations to them tonight. How vital was that Chris Wilkes over number 18? Not taking anything away from the first over that went for 3 or the 10th over that went for 3. But at that stage, when the opposition are stepping on the gas, to come up with an over that included 1 wicket and went for just 2 runs was top draw from Wilkes, and that's had a big influence on the outcome. As it turns out, what could Yorkshire have done differently? What could Yorkshire have done better, do we think, over the course of the 40 overs of this match?
I will answer that question in just a moment, but it's very evident Sham Massoud not happy with the umpires either, asking the question about that. Why they're clearly very frustrated about that call. Look, the defeat doesn't lie on that one call, does it? I mean, if we look at the innings in its entirety, Yorkshire lost wickets early on. They left themselves too short towards the end, despite the fact that they got late runs, in contrast to the Bears, who really slowed up towards the back end of their innings with the bat in hand. But I think I go back to a point that DT made earlier in this run chase, which is that we saw in the Birmingham Bears innings that Yates was prepared to stay there, stick around, and just be that presence who was in. And yes, he didn't score as freely as he would have liked. He went at 120 strike rate, but he was there, and that was key. And I just felt the early wickets that the Vikings lost just put pressure on them, and then left them too short towards the end, despite the fact that Wiese, brilliant power hitting towards the back end of the innings that nearly gave the Vikings an unthinkable chance.
Yeah, but without a major contribution, I'm talking match-winning contribution, because they lost the match, by either of the openers again. So Adam Lyth made 34.
Once you're being hit for 6, it's very difficult to bowl the next ball, but he's coming in again.
Challenge against a real high-class long-term player in this form of the game, and he wins the next little victory. It looked like he dropped that one in a little bit more slowly as well. It was aimed at the stumps this time. Maxwell coming down the wicket, but not able to get it away for runs. 2 left in the over. Chauhan tosses this one up. Maxwell responds by smashing it for 6 more over mid-wicket.
Yeah, and in fact, once these power hitters of today get their range, it doesn't matter where you put the field, because they just seem to find the boundary with ease. It's not even like they're really trying, and the bats are so much heavier, the balls travel quicker. Young Chauhan's not bowling badly, but he's just been dispatched twice in this over for 6 now, and he's coming in to bowl.
Final ball of the over, and again pulled in the same general direction. And at last we've seen a piece of fielding clean on the boundary edge by Matthew Revis. Really good diving stop out there, because that was boundary bound, and they picked up 2, but Maxwell has got off to a flyer here. He's got 21 against his name, and after 13 overs the Birmingham Bears are 122 for 2. So 15 from that over.
Still at around 9.38, does it say over there, for run rate?
Yeah, it's a bit fits and starts with this innings. You know, I keep a check on how many they're getting off each over. So we've got 9, 7, 13, 8, 12. Yeah, the sort of stuff you'd expect in a power play, but then 1 to finish the power play. And then the start of the middle overs, 5 and 9. followed by 16, 12, 12, then a 3, then back to a 15. So now the Kirkstall Lane end, and that is dropped into the offside by Yates. Dom Bess fumbles, David Milan throws himself on the floor. He showed us that a few times last season, and he's nailed that one, and he gets the big wicket of Glenn Maxwell for 21 off 10 deliveries, 123 for 3.
I just think the Yorker's an underused ball at the moment because it...
Revis comes bounding in again then. Last umpire Pollard, that's cut away uppishly into the... Revis in again, final ball of the over is going to be 6. That is a short delivery, and it's pulled well back onto the east side of the ground, and I think it's pretty obvious if you're going to bowl short with that side of the batter, you are going to be in a bit of danger, and we've seen it on several occasions already.
Stand end. Two fielders out on the boundary on the offside as Best sees that first delivery lofted out towards the man on the cover boundary, which was Revis. 27. Long off, long on in place. Deep in wicket, deep backward square. That one's pulled away this time. Back of a length from Bess, and it's cut out by Wharton. Mix up there in the middle, and it's a run out. Well, the two Bears batters there, not on the same wavelength. Good bit of fielding from Wharton in the deep, who had to get his return.
Grasp. So 4 more.
Smart shot. Rolled the wrist to create the angle to beat Bess at fine leg and split that gap that's there to be taken. Worked the angles there really well, Barnard.
So Yates on 50, Barnard with 9 against his name. Jordan Thompson is asking Don Best to go a little bit wider at fine leg, and the attempt at a ramp shot comes into play here, but not the best execution by Barnard, who gets a single.
Honestly, cricket has become something where Barnard's looking to ramp down the leg side, so Thompson follows him with a slower ball. He then adjusts, so Barnard goes to then ramp down the offside.
Not unite sometimes.
Oh, it's a difficult chance, but yeah, it's a chance nevertheless.
Beat the field again. I think there might have been a bit of a hand on that, but it's still going to go for 4, just wide of short fine leg to Yates, and that will complete over number 16, with 17 runs having come from that. 157 for 4.
Yeah, it's a loose one really, because there were chances. Chauhan attempts, and then Fisher at short fine leg, wouldn't it? And from his first over, with Barnard on strike, and that's a miss stumping from Tattersall. Came down the wicket, Barnard. Best second delivery. That one's hit on the full. Could be a catch here, and Milan takes it. Well, it's an ugly shot, it's an ugly ball, but it's brought a wicket for the Vikings. Desperately high delivery, hit on the full by Barnard, who came once again down.
Of Rob Yates around about now, because although he's done a really good job, as I was saying, and glued it together, he's taken 41 balls to just over 200 mark. And this one hit on the up, could be a catch for James Wharton. Is a catch for James Wharton, and so that is the end.
6-9 for 6. That run rate now under 9. So the Vikings so far really pulling it back. Bess again full, but in the slot zone, and it was just a fraction shorter, and that one's driven cleanly by Woakes for 4 runs. So costly finish to what was still a very tight over from Dom Bess, who has gone for just 16 from his 3 overs. 1 for 16 he will finish with in today's game, and he just looks to the heavens, because that final delivery going for 4 has just taken a slight tinge off what was a very good display with the ball in hand from Dom Bess. 173 for 6 at the end of the 19th.
Yeah, good stuff from Dom this evening. And Yorkshire then 1 over remaining. Which way will this one go? 200 still within sight if it's a cracker for the Bears. Yorkshire at the moment, well, it's been one of their best death bowling performances so far. Wide Yorker from wiese, who's bowling the final over first up, and Yates helps it on its way out into the deep on the offside. They pick up just the 1 run. Yorkshire will be happy with 6 of those of this last over if they can manage to keep the Bears to that. Bears have still got something to bowl at here, and as we saw when Yorkshire batted at Birmingham, strong bowling lineup as well. That's why they're up where they are in the table. Outside edge here by Wokes, who looked like he was trying to flick it to leg, and it's gone down to 3rd man. They've picked up 2, and they're on their way back for 3, and they have got there. So well run between the pair of them. Yates, it looked like it might be close. Tattersall whipped off the bails, but unmoved Neil Mallender, apart from thinking about getting back to remove the bails himself.
Well, the replay's looking like on the stream, Yates was desperate to get back to be on strike. I think he's just grounded his bat. Wiese was interested, yeah, the second appeal. Oh, that is tight. That is very, very tight. We don't have a side-on view, but even from that angle, from behind the bowler's arm, it looked tight.
Here's Wiese, short ball, and Yates with a missed pull shot. So another dot. All good stuff. 180, just to say, just as a refresher really, if you look at the scores that have been made here this year, barring Yorkshire's aberration the other night, then north of 180 has usually been the sort of score that you need to feel like you've got half a chance of defending it. And if you can get to 200, then obviously all in your favour, as Yates again cloths that really up to extra cover, and they get 1 run.
It's really good bowling as well from Wiese, just protecting that short boundary to the left-hander of Yates and just forcing him to go wide through the offside, which he did do. It's very, very smart bowling.
2 to come in the Birmingham innings then. Wiese over the wicket and a missed pull. Now then Tattersall fumbles, and again they get through for 1.
Yeah, I'd say
something
so.
like that.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's indifferent because there have been moments of brilliance, but actually I think more so there have been fumbles that could easily be prevented.
Wiese around the wicket for the final ball, goes low, full toss, wide off stump. Wharton is into field. They're going to come back for a second. Yates is going to lose his wicket here, and finally Neil Mallender puts the finger in the air on the final ball of the innings, and Rob Yates was out for 66.
Just 5 runs short actually of his highest score in T20 cricket. Rob Yates, crucial innings from a Birmingham Bears perspective. To tip your cap to the death bowling there of Wiese and Bess, who have done really well to just keep that run rate in the end to a fraction over 9 for the Bears, 179 for 6, so victory target for the Vikings of 180. That's a good effort from the Vikings. They've taken wickets at key times. They've just had that knack of staying within the innings and not letting the Bears really kick on. So despite the fact that in some overs they were rather expensive, in others they've actually been really tight.
Yep, finishing up with 180, so 181 is what is required to win. 7 off the last over. That is much better death bowling today. So 17 off the 6th was the most expensive over of the innings, but then 3, 6, 7 and 7, you'd take that every time in the last 4 overs, no problem with that at all. So 180 for 7. Well, you would think that that is no better than a par score. Not obviously easy to say how it's playing out there, I don't think. It didn't look obviously slow, and certainly hasn't been doing anything off the straight, so it's a good enough deck you'd feel to have a decent chance of chasing that. But Yorkshire's last 2 scores,
yeah, that's the key,
have been 68 and then 102. So as I put it to Shan Masood the other night, somebody else other than David Milan needs to start scoring runs on a consistent basis if they're going to win 2 of these last 3 games. Not sure who that is, but somebody's also got to take some responsibility here, because he's been brilliant, and there have been some other significant moments. James Wharton with that superb 100, Adam Lythe's 90 last week, and then the partnership between wiese and Ben Mike at Leicestershire that got them home out of a difficult position that night. But there ain't been loads more than that.
No.
And so somebody else tonight has got to come to the party, I think, if they're going to be successful. You know, we've had a real good opening partnership here the other week between Lyth and Milan. They'll want that sort of a start ideally, but if they lose a couple of wickets early, then I think it's going to be hearts in mouth time for many Yorkshire Vikings supporters. We'll see, Jamie, in a few minutes' time. We'll take a little breather just on the back of these bowling figures, which finished up like this. Matthew Fisher, 4 overs for 26. David wiese, 4 overs, 1 for 26. Matthew Revis, 3 overs, 2 for 36. Jaffa Chauhan, 3 overs, none for 36. Jordan Thompson, 3 overs, 1 for 38. Don Bess, 3 overs, 1 for 16. Robbie Yates run out for 66 off the final ball of the innings. That left Chris Wokes not out of 4-10 off 7. And Yorkshire, well, they need 181 to beat the top of the table, the Birmingham Bears. Back in a few minutes' time.
Plus over 30 players have already represented Yorkshire's Academy this year. Over 380 boys take part in our regional programme, which sees North, East and Central, South and West Yorkshire all compete against each other, as well as other counties in a full summer programme. Please join us in celebrating the future of Yorkshire CCC and their passion, hard work and dedication in representing
The Vikings' chances of qualifying for the quarterfinals of this competition are concerned. It's not definitely done by any stretch, because they could still win the last 2 matches. They're there to win anyway, but they have now lost 3 in succession. So lost 3, won 6, lost 3 is the way it's gone in this competition for Yorkshire. They've certainly been consistent in various doses. And the Birmingham Bears, well, they continue their march towards the quarterfinals, and congratulations to them tonight. How vital was that Chris Wokes over number 18, not taking anything away from the first over that went for 3 or the 10th over that went for 3, but at that stage when the opposition are stepping on the gas, to come up with an over that included 1 wicket and went for just 2 runs was top draw from Wokes, and that's had a big influence on the outcome, as it turns out. What could Yorkshire have done differently? What could Yorkshire have done better, do we think, over the course of the 40 overs of this match?
I will answer that question in just a moment, but it's very evident Sham Massoud not happy with the umpires either, asking the question about that. Why they're clearly very frustrated about that call. Look, the defeat doesn't lie on that one call, does it? I mean, if we look at the innings in its entirety, Yorkshire lost wickets early on. They left themselves too short towards the end, despite the fact that they got late runs, in contrast to the Bears, who really slowed up towards the back end of their innings with the bat in hand. But I think I go back to a point that DT made earlier in this run chase, which is that we saw in the Birmingham Bears innings that Yates was prepared to stay there, stick around and just be that presence who was in. And yes, he didn't score as freely as he would have liked. He went at 120 strike rate, but he was there, and that was key. And I just felt the early wickets that the Vikings lost just put pressure on them, and then left them too short towards the end, despite the fact that wiese, brilliant power hitting towards the back end of the innings that nearly gave the Vikings an unthinkable chance.
Yeah, but without a major contribution, I'm talking match-winning contribution, because they lost the match, by either of the openers again. So Adam Lyth made 34.